Assalamu alaikum, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, and I am seeing you once again with lecture 12 of Business English. Today's lecture is going to be interesting one because it's going to address one need of all the students, and that is the process of applying for a job and getting a job. What do we need to apply for a job? Well, yes, we need a resume, a curriculum vitae, a CV to make it precise. So, in today's talk we are going to learn about how to write an effective resume. And what are the objectives of writing a resume, what are the organizational aspects, how should be the presentation of a resume. And in order to discuss these things, we will try to bring in what a resume earns you, how can you make your resume stand out, what can be an effective organization, and how can you summarize sections. We will also talk about resume and cover letter, job versus resume, the components of cover letter style, format controversies, and types of different types of resumes. Some are chronological, some are linear, some are functional or skill based. And we will analyze a sample as well. And we'll try to analyze sample for each one of these types. And if we get time, we will also talk about the cover letters. What are the objectives, opening and closing of a cover letter, mention of highlights, general guidelines, and appearance. Although we have discussed cover letters when we were doing the letters, but I would want to talk about cover letters once again with a different perspective once we are doing resumes, because cover letter has to accompany resume. It's a wrapper for resume. So we will discuss cover letter once again here. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Let's start with the talk. So, it's a brief introduction of writing an effective resume. Resume is curriculum vitae, or to be precise, CV. When we discuss the writing of resume, we need to discuss what are the objectives of writing a resume, what are the expectations regarding organization, and how do we present our resume. What does a resume earns you? A good resume earns you an interview, and a good interview, a successful interview, earns you a job. So, to reach a job, to get a job, an effective resume is indispensable. Find out which applications are suitable. Choose a small number of candidates to interview. Same issues for proposals and grant applications. If you are taking interview, these are the concerns of the interviewer. They always like to go for a small number of interviews and candidates who really suit what they need. So are you providing these things in your resume? It depends if you have really have your homework done while preparing your resume. Alright, so if you want your resumes to stand out among the audience, among the crowd, because you know it is always the same. For one job there are hundreds of candidates. However, in developing countries the situation is getting worse, that for one job there are thousands of candidates. So whenever you are designing your resume, try to make it advertisement specific. Plus, since whosoever is going to design a resume will notice that his or her resume has to be advertisement specific. So you need to make sure that you include those things which can impress your reader. Now, definitely you will not be including false information, but how can you dig deep into your experience and qualifications to bring out those things that may impress the reader. So attempt best efforts to make a first impression, because resume is your first impression, and if resume is accepted, that earns you an interview call. So if it is rejected, you have no chance. No chance to explain if you do not get an interview. So you have no chance if you are refused. Alright, writing an effective resume, when you do that, you need to ask a few questions to yourself. Why you are writing? What is the purpose of writing this resume? Alright, what is the organization that you need to keep in? the few important heads of your resume. The parts of your resume are name, address line that includes your telephone number, your email address, the objective that you want to state, objective of planning this resume or objective you want to achieve in your professional career, your education summary, summary of your experience, achievements and awards and distinctions that you received in the previous years, the skills that you have, the professional affiliation, and the publication or projects. These are, although these are optional, but if you have them, you can mention them. They always add weightage into your case. Now we start with the content information. Let's talk about all these aspects one by one. What do we need to know when we want to contact somebody? We need the name, of course. It has to be bold but not underlined. We need the address, we need the telephone number, and we need the email address, because we may choose one of these types of address to contact the person. Normally people are contacted through email, or sometimes they are also telephone. In very few situations you get letters, you receive letters on your postal addresses, because it's the advent of technology that, you know, things in order to speed up the procedure, people would pay you a phone call or they will send you an email. What is the objective? You have to write the objective in 1 or 2 sentences at the top of your resume under your profile section. The type of position you are interested in, whether it's a part-time, full-time, or summer internship, or what position would you like to find, or emphasize how you will use your skills, not what you want to gain. Tell them how will you use your skills, because the company is interested in knowing how can you be a plus point in their favor. What you are going to gain is none of their business, and they may not like to know that. So always talk about how your skills can help you contribute in company's favor. Use the objective to stand out. Do not be needy. Don't show that you're a needy person. Like, to obtain a position that will allow me to advance my potential while seeking new challenges. Why? Show what you will contribute. Your objective can be an entry-level position in mechanical engineering where strong leadership ability and good communication skills are needed. You are going to fulfill a need. Or Vice President of an experienced objective, Vice President of Aerospace Engineering in an agency where extensive knowledge of thermodynamics and heat transfer are needed. Again. Alright. Education in reverse chronological order. Always try to follow some kind of order, whether it's reverse order or you start from the most recent. Include schools attended beyond high school. List majors and minors. Supply interesting details if you have any. For poly, put the expected date in parentheses. And include special or interesting aspects of your program that make some impact on the demand of the qualification that is there in the advertisement. You can also put your experience in 2 orders, either starting from the either doing in reverse order or starting with the most recent one. Dates of employment, you have to, if you're mentioning the month and year, then follow the same pattern in all of the experiences. Name and location of the company. Add specific detail that shows your organization, corporation, responsibility with action that you did. And calling this section experience allows you to include jobs for which you were not paid. Include military service or internships or volunteer positions. Achievements and awards. If you have any achievements and awards, it's always good to mention them because it adds weightage into your case, like you have been a part of Dean's List, or you received any scholarships or fellowships or any grants, or you won prizes, or you have been nominated, or you have a part to play in professional societies, or do you have any significant accomplishments, or if you are following any committees or member of any committees, or you have played any professional or leadership roles. So mention all of them into your achievement and award section. Now use the skills section very intelligently, because this section basically is a section where you can differ and stand among the other candidates. So if you're a software programmer, software programs and proficiency, I have Word, PowerPoint and Excel and front page and AutoCAD competence, like I'm well versed with that. Programming language include Visual Basics, HTML, PHP, Java, C++, whatsoever it is. Availability based on experience, abilities based on experience, and language ability. You mention how many languages you can speak and how efficient you are in all of the languages. Writing an effective resume. While you are writing and after the organizational aspects, you need to look at presentational aspects as well. So, to create an effective layout and effective presentation of your resume, you try to entrust your reader visually. And how do you do that? A clean, professional format with a little style will definitely attract your reader. Will make them go on with reading your resume. An extra white space makes it easy to read, so set margins carefully. Limit font to 2 choices. Do not make your resume a hodgepodge of fonts. For text, serif font like Times. For headings, Arial or Helvetica are good choices to add visual interest. Don't choose non-standard fonts like Comic Sans or Lucida handwriting. Font size should be 11 or 12 point with the standard spacing. Write concisely and vigorously. A focused, targeted resume is best. Avoid the temptation to go more than 1 page. Delete obvious information in order to highlight your unique qualities, and find specific dynamic verbs like use present or past imperatives, or include each verb only once. Consult online list of resume action words if you can find a list of them. Make list parallel. Was responsible for staff of 10. Present reports to consultants, like you are talking about your activities that you have done in past. So if you're writing, I was responsible, I present, new reporting system was developed. No, this does not go with the thing. I was responsible for staff of 10. I presented reports to consultants. I developed system for new reporting. I developed a new reporting system. Leader of monthly staff meeting. I led monthly staff meetings. Coordinated monthly review. So there has to be a parallel in the sentence structure that you are providing. Parallel structures. Managed staff of 10, presented reports, developed new reporting, led monthly staff meeting, coordinated monthly review. So you can see all sentences or phrases are starting with the verbs and past verb forms. Use brief style like presentations. Omit articles. Use more lists than sentences, and arrange information in columns to make it easy to read and compare. Now, final thoughts about resume is that choose the correct tense and use it consistently. Don't move and jump over tenses. Do not ask for a particular salary, because that is a question taken care of during interview. Be accurate and honest, and print it out. Do not attempt to proofread on screen. Print it out, because only then you'll be able to see the version that is printed out and going to be handed over to the employer. So we discussed so far about writing an effective resume, the aspects of why you're writing it, the purpose, organization, and the presentation. Now let's have resume and cover letter discussion, where we are going to discuss the format, the style, and the general guidelines about writing a resume. So before you start designing your resume, there are a few questions you need to think about in the very first instance, like, what jobs you are applying for, and what skills do you have, what knowledge do you have, and what tasks are required for them. List them down. The components of cover letter and resume, note them. You should know what are the components, the types of resume and how many types are there and what type you are going to use for your purpose, the language styles of cover letter as well as business letter in general. So you design your outline, check on the format, what format you are going to follow, and whether you are going to use you need to know ये 2-3 वर्ड्स स्किप कर दें, इस स्लाइड को मैं दोबारा करती हूँ. Okay, so what we are going to discuss now is going to be talk about the format, the resume, the controversies, components, types, cover letter, language style, general guidelines that will include the appearance matters, questions for discussion, and school application or other trivial issues that are related with resume writing. So let's talk about controversies first. And these are the controversies over the format of resume. A question is whether resume has to be 1 page or more than that. Well, use 1 page for college grades. To be unique and creative or not, well, with caution you can be creative, but don't be over creative. Including hobbies and extracurricular activities or not, well, you can include if you have a section, if you have space for that. Try to make subheadings of your skill sections, and here you can add them, but if it has a role to play in your in the job that you are going to apply for. Personal data, for example, age and material, your marital status and photo. And follow the general principles and use your resume as your personal ad to show the best of your qualifications. So what are resume components that you need to take care of? You need to look at the headings, objective. Optional is the qualifications, a qualification summary, education summary, or experience, and responsibilities or achievements if you want to include. Now, then there are the different types of resume. I will talk about all these things separately when I'm going to take you to different types of resume, like chronological, linear, functional, or skill-based. Now look at the resume. First example that you have is of chronological resume. All right. Look clearly how the objective is mentioned, how the experience section is given, how the education is mentioned, then your personal detail and references. Look at the top of the resume, how your name and your address is mentioned. Look at the margins. The margins that are created over here on the screen, basically where you can see the things, and they are outlined as red. It's not a part of the format. I've done for you, so you can look at these things. Look at the chronological resume that talks about the objective, senior level distribution management position with progressive company in search of leadership in the structuring of a distribution function that employs state-of-the-art concepts and realizes significant contribution to bottom line results. Then you talk about your experience yearly. You have made brackets of years according to the jobs that you have done. Then you talk about your education, starting with MS, bachelor's, and then intermediate or O and A levels. Then you talk about your personal information, your age, your marital status, and you're a citizen of a country, and your health, if you want to mention. And then you give references if they are there, or you can put up a line that excellent references available upon request. Look at the linear sample of resume. How do you list responsibilities? Look at the objective statement, experience, bulleting that you are doing, your activities, your education, and personal information. In fact, it's such a detailed experience-based resume that you don't have enough space to put in your skills and your hobbies, and because they're all there in your experience, in space details and activity details. Now this is the functional resume or skill-based resume, although I may give you an example of skill-based resume too separately. But look at how do you do your functional resume. You have two samples here. You give a summary of your experience right on the top, and then you talk about your major skills. Look at the second thing. It talks about all the action words. The resume is a precise one because there is. It seems that it's a resume prepared for internship because there isn't much to write about it. However, look at the action words that you can use in resume writing. I've directed, guided, led, motivated, approved, controlled, conceived, created, invented, organized, established, designed. So all the words are given for you for your help to design your experience and skill area. This is the fourth example of skill-based resume. And this is preferred in situations when you are fresh graduate or you're still in the process of getting qualification and you don't have much experience to talk about. So you talk about your skills, what you're good at. And that is all about your resume. Because your education section is not that detailed, your experience section has got nothing to do in, because you don't have any experience at all. So what you have is the skill area that you can really enhance and you can basically zoom in and talk about. Now, one thing that you need to take care of is that your objective section, where you write your objective, should be supported by the other parts of the resume. Whatever you are listing down, they all should contribute to the objectives that you have to achieve. It can be directed at a specific job or put in more general ways that shows your understanding of the nature of the job. For example, a secretarial position which utilizes interpersonal, organizational, and computer skills and which provides chances to learn business management. So in the following resume, then you have to refer to interpersonal communication skills, organization activities or experience that you have, or the computer-based skills that you have, and how they provide to enhance business management. That would be your experience section or your activity section. How did you help in enhancing the business management? So your objective becomes basically a kind of abstract to your the talk that you're going to do in the resume, a kind of flashlight, a highlight kind of thing. It's the component number one, the second objective sample that we are looking at. It's a marketing-based objective. A position in charge of marketing project directions, product management, sales promotions, general administration for customer goods company. Or looking for a secretarial job in an international training company, a position involving computer skills, high demand of English, basic knowledge of international trade in relation to fashion business. So you will touch upon all the important words, the major words in the resume, so there is a correspondence between your objective and your resume elements. So component 2 is of qualification. So to emphasize, how do we emphasize this section? To emphasize skills and achievements required by or useful for a particular job or company. For example, I have a strong background in business administration practices and concept, and I have 2 years experience in summer internship in educational administrative office. Now this has to be has correspondence with your a link with your qualification section where you have a degree or a subject studied with the same title. Excellent computer skills, if you have a certificate in that and you mention this into your qualification section, this section will reinforce that you are skilled in MS Word, Excel, PowerPoint, so on and so forth. Good English communication, again, it deals with the kind of subject that you studied during your degree. So whatsoever you mention in your qualification section has further to be linked with whatever you explain under headings of experience, activities, achievements, or honors. Education to be placed before experience when it is more significant than the later. So it depends. It's your decision whether you want to talk about education first or you want to talk about experience first. If you have more, if you have things that stand out in your education section, you probably should take it earlier than experience. However, if your experience has more variety and more interesting information, you can pull it and put it and describe it before you do your education. So that's the decision that you make based on the things that you have to tell and the things you have to tell them for. All right. So how do you give a qualification summary? Extract key points to emphasize your accomplishment and skills set, but keep the summary fresh, crisp, and engaging. And how do you do your qualification section? For that, you need to talk about your abilities in noun or adjective. As I have given you, I've just showed you. I've just shown you a list of adjectives or phrases that you can use, accomplishments or verb phrases. Omit I using pronouns, because omit articles and pronouns and make it more like presentation like listing that's easy to read and understand, and they make it brief and to the point. Examples: I completed a 5-month internship in a busy administrative office. Well, grammatically it's a good sentence, a complete sentence, but if you're writing it for a resume, you can write that completed 5-month internship in busy administrative office, and for that you don't need to put a full stop in the end because it's not a complete sentence. Now, objective or summary, better just choose one of them, because if you want both, objective comes the second. For new entrants into the workplace, you'll likely have not had enough experience to warrant a summary, so avoid it. If you do not have enough information to fill in under a heading, avoid giving that heading. Alright, look at the qualification sample. Your objective is position as administrative assistant, and qualifications that you have are strong background in business administrative practices and concepts, 2-year experience in summer internship in educational administrative office, excellent computer skills, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, excellent English, 2nd place winner in University English Speech Contest, experience as leader of college organization, quick learner, able to grasp instructions accurately and complete tasks as requested, industrious, dependable, and detailed-minded. And you can also, present your GPA to authenticate how well qualified you are. You can either use general scale in Pakistan that is used, or you can use a worldwide scale of mentioning GPA if you are a student of in another country. However, there are websites given which can give you detailed information about GPA systems used for different organizations and companies and countries. Now, experience section of your resume and responsibilities at work. For example, you are writing your resume as a secretary, so transcribe dictation from 3 advertising agency account executives. Accomplishments: became expert with a word processor, increased typing speed from 50 to 75 words per minute, or increased accuracy to 97%. Or, for example, as an instructor, Language Institute, or taught English, conversational, and grammar to classes of children ranging from age 7 to 10. Accomplishments: used lively methods to interest students of different ages, so on and so forth. If you are writing as a translator or waitress, you can say communicated with customers in fluent English and Chinese, sometimes translating between the 2 languages. Or if you are writing this section as an administrative worker, you can write negotiated and arbitrated conflicts among team workers, developed a climate of enthusiasm, teamwork and cooperation, and introduce student projects as well as creative ways of advertisement to different companies. So now this was all about the components of a resume that you need to know, a brief introduction of that, and now introduction of your cover letter components. You need to have an opening, you need to have some highlights, a closing, and a format. And these are the things we've already discussed, but I wanted to bring it again here so they are refreshed in your head, because both of these things go together. Language, like objective, a good job with a famous company, or you can have the objective your cover letter can have is a part-time English tutor, but depends on the type of job that you want your objective, but the idea is that it has to be clear, crisp, and short and to the point. So what objective you can write for a good job with a famous company? The example is given. An assistant position in procurement department which utilize my skills in computer applications and negotiating deals and familiarize me with all facets of modern procurement management. This is one model objective for good job with a famous company. I want to write an objective for a part-time English tutor. What will you write? Take a minute and write your objective. Okay, done. Let's check. One sample objective is there in front of you on the screen. An English instructor in a language institute which allows me to make full use of a variety of teaching methods to make students talk spontaneously, correctly, and meaningfully. All right. Now some more. Objective as a translator. Let me give you an example. And raise a lot of funds for students' activities, your experience. How will you talk about your experience? An experience if you taught a kid creatively, how can you talk about that? The model sentences. All right. Now these are some openings for cover letters. We will quickly go through them because we have already spent a lot of time on cover letters. Look at this opening example. Your cover letter has to be conversational in tone. So look at the style. Focus on the screen, please. All right. The second, can you catch the difference between the both? Now look at the closing. One of the closing, active closing. So cover letter highlights are, this is another sample of a cover letter. How do you talk about the highlights of your career? Can you understand? I accommodated, then I helped, besides that, I designed, this experience helped me improve my skills, so on and so forth, and I have finally acquired. This is how you design the highlights of your experience. So the general guidelines regarding designing your resume: research the companies you are applying for well and address what they need in your resume and cover letter. Be self-assertive and matter of fact. Do not exaggerate or flatter. Be concrete. Use verbs more than adjectives. Appearance matters. What is appearance? You need to know. Appearance of your resume. Grammar and spelling of your text. Spatial arrangements of resume, fonts and spacing. Font size and font type. Printing and paper qualities. What else? A bit of creative and elegant decoration if possible, but don't get over in doing that. So, one of the discussion questions may follow this lecture can be that, which of the following jobs can we apply for right after graduating from college without getting another degree? And how do you present the objectives or responsibilities of the following jobs? And these are the jobs that I've gave you samples for. For many of them I gave you. For one or two I want you to think about, because I may include them in your assessments. And that is why I show you samples, so you pay attention to them. Alright, so this was all about our subject-specific talk based on resume writing. Now we are going to have our listening activity, and one thing that is special about today's listening activity is that it's very challenging. You're going to deal with a bit unusual accent. So I want you to pay close attention to the listening activity of today, because with the passage of time, I'm trying to give you more challenging activities to improve your listening skills. So let's start with our listening activity of the day. Are you ready? So like always, I would want you to pay close attention to the questions first. You're going to listen to an interview with Gérard, and Gérard has a bit unusual accent. So I play your audio here. Here you go.
This book speaks about an entrepreneur who wants to sell out in the market some pinballs, and he explains all the difficulties he came along while trying to set up his company and to make some sales. I think they were looking at Middle East market at the beginning, and after trying to expand to Southeast Asia. Well, it doesn't seem to be the same as in our culture, maybe. Like, it's not all about price. You have to sell the image, quality, and the services, which is always important as well as the price. I mean, at least there. I'm from France. If you're going to some bars, there are still the odd one on the side, and you still want to go and play. Sometimes to just remind you how old you are now, compared to your teenage, and you wanted to play like every Wednesday. So it's quite old-fashioned. I don't think it will be important now, like as a big selling market, but you can still sell a few, maybe. Yeah, I've got a computer where I've got games, and after I've got the Wii on the side to just play on a different game, a different style. So yeah, quite a lot of games and video. It's important, isn't it? Yeah, but no, because you're going through a story, and you see the story evolving, or your character changing throughout the story and improving, getting new skills. Yeah, I guess the pinball is good because you always want to get better and get a better score and trying to fight for that score. And sometimes you will get the same kind of game. If you get a football game on the Wii, for example, or whatever, the PlayStation, you always want to beat the team with more goals, and it's always the same kind of going out and get the most of it. It's a new technology that it hasn't been shown before, and working everything wirelessly, and you just don't play with the remote. You just have to do the move, and all these moves are like a literal transcription of the movement you're doing. So it's just, it's relatively good and fun in this way. When you're playing the bowling, if you're making a little effect on the side, it will give a different effect on the screen. I think they were targeting not really the teenager, more like a wider. They really wanted to get a wide audience, so obviously try to get as many person as possible, but not obviously the teenager first, maybe the parents as well as the teenager, more like a family entertainment game rather than just for teenager focused. So Microsoft just developed a new project which is called Project Natal, where you don't have anything. You're just sat on your sofa and it recognizes every movement you're doing. So like a racing game, you just fake the wheel, steering wheel, and if you're turning right, it will meant to turn right. If you go left, it will go left. The same for the football. If you kick in the air, nothing, it will be a wheel kick on the game, on the TV. So that's probably the next one. Yeah, I don't know if it will work, because even on the ad, there are like four sitting on the sofa. One's like that with the steering wheel, and the other one, because it's a Formula 1 game, after the other one at the pit stop, they just want to change the wheel, and they do a movement to change the wheel.
All right, I hope you are done. So let's start with the second phase of the activity, that is doing these, circle the correct information and choose a word from the box to complete the sentence. Then listen and check. So I'm going to play the audio again for these two questions this time.
This book speaks about an entrepreneur who wants to sell out in the market some pinballs, and he explains all the difficulties he came along while trying to set up his company and to make some sales. I think they were looking at Middle East market at the beginning, and after trying to expand to Southeast Asia. Well, it doesn't seem to be the same as in our culture, maybe. Like, it's not all about price. You have to sell the image, the quality, and the services, which is always important as well as the price. I mean, at least there. I'm from France. If you're going to some bars, there are still the odd one on the side, and you still want to go and play. Sometimes to just remind you how old you are now, compared to your teenage, and you wanted to play like every Wednesday. So it's quite old-fashioned. I don't think it will be important now, like as a big selling market, but you can still sell a few, maybe. Yeah, I've got a computer where I've got games, and after I've got the Wii on the side to just play on a different game, a different style. So yeah, quite a lot of games and video. It's important, isn't it? Yeah, but no, because you're going through a story, and you see the story evolving, or your character changing throughout the story and improving, getting new skills. Yeah, I guess the pinball is good because you always want to get better and get a better score and trying to fight for that score. Sometimes you will get the same kind of game. If you get a football game on the Wii, for example, or whatever, the PlayStation, you always want to beat the team with more goals, and it's always the same kind of going out and get the most of it. It's a new technology that it hasn't been shown before, and working everything wirelessly, and you just don't play with the remote, you just have to do the move, and all these moves are like a literal transcription of the movement you're doing, so it's just, it's relatively good and fun in this way. When you're playing the bowling, if you're making a little effect on the side, it will give a different effect on the screen. Yeah, I think they were targeting not really the teenager, more like a wider. They really wanted to get a wide audience, so obviously try to get as many persons as possible, but not obviously the teenager first, maybe the parents as well as the teenager, more like a family entertainment game rather than just teenager focused. So Microsoft just developed a new project which is called Project Natal, where you don't have anything. You're just sat on your sofa and it recognizes every movement you're doing. So like a racing game, you just fake the wheel, steering wheel, and if you're turning right, it will mean to turn right. If you go left, it will go left. The same for the football. If you kick in the air, nothing, it will be a wheel kick on the game, on the TV. So that's probably the next one. Yeah, I don't know if it will work, because even on the ad, they're like four sitting on the sofa. One's like that with the steering wheel, and the other one, because it's a Formula 1 game, after the other one at the pit stop, they just want to change the wheel, and they do a movement to change the wheel.
Alright, here you are. I hope that this definitely would have been a challenging listening activity today, but let me see how far you could get the right answer. So checking with me on your answers, please go to the very first question where you had to answer the questions. The first one is the third thing, why Gérard likes computer games. The second is first, what the article is about. The third is the fifth one, Microsoft's latest product. The fourth is the second one, playing on pinball machines when Gérard was young. The last one of the first question is the fourth, how the Wii works. Now, look at the second question, please. A is the Middle East, Southeast Asia. B is France. C is a computer, a Y. D is a new type of technology. E is teenagers, parents. And question number 3, 1 is as well as, 2 is throughout, 3 is always, 4th is sometimes, and 5th is rather. Alright, so here you are. This was all about today's listening activity. Now it's time for today's language expansion activity. Today we are going to talk about the words related to advertising. Now, there are different words. Advertising is known as ad or advert. Look at the family: advertising, campaign, advertisement as a noun, advertising is a verb, and advertiser is the one who does this action. So this is the family of the words related to the very job, advertising. Now we are going to make collocations. We are going to make a verb on the left with a noun on the right. We are going to match it to form a collocation. A collocation is a combination of verb and a noun. So look at the list of verbs from 1 to 7 and look at the list of nouns from, look at this list of verbs and look at the list of nouns in 2 columns. Nouns from A to G and verbs from 1 to 7. And match them to make appropriate collocations. What do you think? The first one can be, well, here you are. Advertise products. Lease a body part. Receive a bid on eBay. Earn money. Lose effectiveness. Target an audience. Attract attention. Alright, moving on with this. Now, do you remember? If you remember, you have to write them again here. Here you are. Alright, now we are going to rearrange the words. You remember in the last lecture we talked about when you go to buy a product, how do you talk about it? And there we had an example of a car. Okay, so keeping this car context in mind, try to rearrange these words into sentences that are interrogative in nature. So these are the questions that you are making, and it's an activity of jumbled up words. You have to rearrange the words to make it a question, an appropriate question. Look at the first one and rearrange to make it a question. How will you ask this question? Which model do you like? Do you want a diesel engine? Would you like leather seats? Are you interested in a used car? What do you need your car for? Can you pay by cash? Do you have anything cheaper? Well, this activity is important because this enables you to make appropriate and grammatically correct questions, which is very important. So, moving on with the third language expansion tip. You see, I have given you 3 items here: sports car, tandem, and motorbike. I want you to design 5 questions as if you are going to buy any of these things for each one of these categories. These questions, you should know what are these questions, and you should know the answers as well. Try to dig for the answers. So this becomes a research homework. You buy 5 questions about sports car as you have gone to a salesperson to buy it. Now, being a salesperson, you look answers for those 5 questions. So look for information, research on internet or read about it, and then you prepare your answers. So prepare each five questions and answers for each item that you can see on the screen. And then look at these 5 professions: cook, doctor, and cleaner. If you are dealing with them, you're dealing with a cook if you have a restaurant, or you are dealing with a doctor if you have a hospital, or if you are dealing with cleaner if you have a hotel or something. What kind of questions you're going to ask them? Form 5 questions for each profession, and then form answers for them too, because you're going to do the two-way conversation. So that was the activity of today. Okay, with this we are reaching the end of the talk for today's lesson, and let us quickly review what we talked about today. We talked about writing an effective resume, and when we talked about resume, we tried to understand the objectives, organizations, and presentational conventions of resume writing. What does a resume earn you? How can you make your resume stand among the resumes of other candidates? Organizational conventions, and what we talked about a summary of sections. We try to understand resume and cover letter by having examples of all types of resumes: chronological, linear, functional, and skill-based. And we had analysis of the samples. And we also talked about the format controversies. And we revised our understanding of cover letter, objective, opening, and closing sections. And I gave you a few examples and asked you to give you an activity homework as well. How to mention highlights of cover letter, how to, and we also discussed some gen guidelines and appearance concerns of a cover letter. This was all for today's talk. I will see you in the next class, inshallah. Allah Hafiz.